Hello, I'm Baxter with BBC World News. Our top story. The UN Security Council calls on Syria to speed up getting rid of its chemical weapons. It says Syria must meet its obligations to transport its stockpile out of the country for destruction. Pakistan starts peace talks with the Taliban. For the first time, the government and the militants meet face-to-face to try to end the decade-long insurgency. The UN envoy to the Central African Republic urges the country to make an example of soldiers who beat and stabbed a suspected rebel to death. The Italian Navy rescues 1,000 migrants in 9 boats in one day in the southern Mediterranean. May the Games begin. The first events at the Winter Olympics in Sochi get underway amid tight security. Hello, very warm welcome to you. Now, the United Nations has called on Syria to speed up the removal of its most harmful chemical agents from the country so that they can be destroyed. Well, chemical weapons inspectors have been briefing a closed session of the UN Security Council and within the last half an hour have given their latest assessment after the Syrian government missed the latest chemical weapons deadline. Now, negotiators for both the Pakistani government and the Taliban have finally met for talks in Islamabad. The two sides were due to meet earlier this week, but the government negotiators failed to turn up. Well, talks are aimed at charting a roadmap that will try to end a decade-long insurgency. Last week, Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif told Parliament that there were two options: peace talks or a military operation. Shahzad Jalani has the latest from Islamabad. Now, the UN Special Representative in the Central African Republic says soldiers who lynched a man in the capital, Bangui, should be punished severely as an example to others. General Bakbar Gaye has called for an investigation into Wednesday's incident, which he described as unacceptable. The man, who was suspected of being a Muslim rebel, was stabbed, beaten and kicked to death by soldiers who'd gathered to re-enlist in the National Army. This report by Andrew Harding in Johannesburg contains footage that some of you might find disturbing. Now, the Italian Navy has rescued more than 1,000 migrants in the southern Mediterranean within the space of just 24 hours. 9 boats, whose occupants included pregnant women and small children, were spotted as they tried to cross to Europe from North Africa. Alan Johnson reports from Rome. Now, in Russia, the opening events of the Winter Olympics are being held amid a tight security in the Caucasus Mountains and the Black Sea resort of Sochi. Well, the Games officially get underway tomorrow. United Nations Chief Ban Ki-moon has also taken part in the Olympic torch relay alongside International Olympic Committee President Thomas Bach. Earlier, Mr. Ban condemned discrimination against homosexuals, an issue that's overshadowed preparations for the Games. Well, the BBC's Daniel Sanford is in Sochi and has more on the tight security for the Games. Do stay with us here on BBC World News. Still to come, we've talked a lot about the style of Pope Francis on this programme, but we forgot to mention this. It's his Harley Davidson that didn't quite fit the role, and sadly it's been sold. We'll tell you for how much. This is BBC World News with me, Alice Baxter. The latest headlines. The UN Security Council calls on Syria to speed up transporting its chemical stockpile out of the country for destruction. Pakistan starts peace talks with the Taliban. For the first time, the government and the militants meet face-to-face to try to end the decade-long insurgency. Now, a top Kremlin aide is accusing the United States of arming anti-government activists in Ukraine. Sergei Glaziev is President Putin's advisor on Ukraine, and he says Moscow must intervene to stop what he calls Washington's blatant interference. Well, his comments come as protesters marched on Parliament in a show of force. Emily Buchanan reports. To Syria now, where there are reports that an agreement has been reached to allow the evacuation of some civilians from Homs. Now, according to Syria's news agency, a deal was reached between the UN and the governor of Homs. Well, the BBC's Jim Muir is in Beirut for us. Jim, what do we know about this supposed deal that's been reached? Now, at its height, the Mongol Empire reached as far as Central Europe and the Middle East. And for centuries, Mongol herdsmen thundered across the grasslands of northern China, herding livestock and living on the move. But now, a resource boom in the region is creating rapid change. China's autonomous region is rich in gas and rare earth deposits, but ethnic Mongolian people say that they're being deprived of their traditional land rights. Martin Patience reports. Fantastic pictures there. Now, a speech by an Irish drag queen has led to a huge debate in Ireland about gay rights and gay marriage. The 10-minute oration by drag queen Panty Bliss has gone viral after being posted to YouTube. A controversy surrounding the speech is currently being discussed in the Irish Parliament. Well, with me now is Anne-Marie Tomchak from our social media team at BBC Trending. But first of all, let's have a quick look and a quick listen to what Panty had to say.
Have you ever turned on the computer?
Panty Bliss not mincing her word there. Anne-Marie, talk me through the impact that speech has had, both in Ireland and beyond.
Now as a homosexual.
Interesting, and of course it's gone beyond Twitter, hasn't it? This is something that's being discussed in the Irish Parliament at the moment, the Dáil.
Dáil, as we speak.
Yeah, we're going to have to see how that progresses. Anne-Marie, always great to talk to you. Many thanks. Back now to the Winter Olympics and perhaps the fiercest sibling rivalry that the Games have ever seen. Maxime, Chloe and Justine Dufaux-Lapointe are sisters, all representing Canada and are all ranked in the top 5 in their sport, the Moguls. Well, it means that they won't just have to beat the rest of the world to bring home a medal, but their own family members as well. The BBC caught up with them in Montreal just before they headed off to Russia. I'm wishing all 3 of them the very best of luck. Now, how do you deal with an escaped gorilla? Hopefully not a problem too many of you will come face to face with. Well, Tokyo Zoo has staged a gorilla escape to see how they would cope with the real thing. Their annual drill aims to help keepers become better prepared for a real breakout. Let's take a look. And now, cool for cats or too cool for school. Cool and the gang, that's cool with a K, of course. And who and what is cool, though? Rad, neato, awesome. Who needs those adjectives? The phrase cool never seems to go out of style. It was first used in America's jazz scene back in the 1940s, and since then has taken on a whole lot of other meanings too. Now the National Portrait Gallery in Washington is starting to name some of the originals of cool, those special people who just naturally exude it, as Jane O'Brien's been finding out. Would you want to see a Facebook look-back video of someone close to you who died? Well, one father has pleaded with the social network to watch a video based on his dead son's Facebook page. Here's the clip that John Berlin posted to YouTube.
You ever do something crazy because you just don't know what to do anymore? Well, that's what I'm doing right now. I'm calling out to Mark Zuckerberg and Facebook. You've been putting out these new movies, you know, these 1-minute movies that everybody's been sharing, and I think they're great. Well, my son passed away January 28th. ...2012, and we can't access his Facebook account. I've tried emailing different things, but it ain't working. All we want to do is see his movie, that's it. I don't even need to get on his account.
It's heart-wrenching to watch that, isn't it? But for more on the story now, though, I've got our social media producer, Samantha Barry, with me. Sam, I understand that you've actually just got off the phone with John, the father that we just saw in that clip.
So the follow-up...
Indeed, because most of us now do have Facebook pages, or a lot of us have Twitter accounts, exactly. As you say, it is a real debate. And there was another story, wasn't there, Sam? A case in Argentina last year of a mother taking Facebook to court for the opposite reason. She wanted the Facebook page of her deceased daughter to be taken down.
Yes, it was a Brazilian...